Hey, happy Saturday. Just gonna do some painting today. Gonna try it for a little while anyway. It's 1 o'clock. I don't know, maybe an hour, possibly 2. We'll see how I feel. Um, Actually doing some gaming tonight. I got some friends coming over. I'm gonna try and stream that tonight too. So I don't know what game we're gonna play yet. We're gonna be doing. I'll set up a table and put up some cameras, and that'd be 5 or 6 of us. And so if you're into board gaming and you want to come and see what we're playing, come and join us. Come and chat. We'll try to keep an eye on it. So anyway, so the last time I was doing this, I know I look great with these glasses, don't I? Look like a Coke bottle lens. They are Coke bottle lens. They're really thick. They're super thick, in fact. Pretty dirty too. I probably should clean those up. I'll tell you, I started off painting never using these magnifying glasses, but once I tried them, wow, I can't imagine not how anybody paints without them. I can only imagine that a person gets better with them. There's no doubt about it. I think if you're a great painter and you use them, you're gonna become an amazing painter. And if you're an amazing painter, well, you probably don't have anywhere to improve to, but I still say it's better. So anyway, this is the guy. Oh, you know what? I wanted to adjust my camera. So I got my camera set up here. So it's actually kind of far off. I'm gonna adjust it here a bit. I think I want it to be a little more over the table. Okay, so I should probably change the focal point on this guy. Nothing like doing stuff in the middle of the screen. So I got a little attachment. I have a microphone stand, and I decided to get a little camera attachment thing for it. So now I can put my camera directly above my table, and hopefully it'll be a better view. So, but I do got to turn off the autofocus, and because this camera's terrible at close-ups. So if I want it to have any kind of a clue as to what it's seeing, I got to pick a range for it to look closely at. Let's try that. I mean, it's still kind of a guess. I mean, ultimately, you can only get... I mean, I could try to bring it so it's super close. Then I won't be able to paint in that position, and you'll never get to see what I'm doing. I guess I could bring the camera lower, but then you got the problem of the camera is right in front of the camera. So there's that. So I could bring it lower. Maybe I'll mess with that later. But so this is the girl I've been working on. I've been trying to finish her up. I feel like she's getting pretty close to what I would call a satisfactory state. I've been trying to go over some of her original colors a little bit, trying to fix her up a tad, and then I want to put a quick coat of varnish on her, and then I'll probably call it good. It's kind of tricky to... So this girl, again, I don't know if I doubt anybody has seen my previous videos, so I'll show you. This is how big she is. She's a little halfling, and this is how big she is compared to your typical 25mm dude. This is Bruce Lee, obviously. Most people know who Bruce Lee is, and he's the one I've painted already. He's pretty easy to paint. I probably could have put a little more detail in his skin, maybe pop those muscles a little bit more. I thought he came out alright. Bruce Lee's easy, right? I mean, he's just a black pants and shirt, white socks, done. Shirtless, white socks. Doesn't have a whole lot of details to worry about. His skin is probably a little more orange too than he should be. Man, the only problem is streaming with these glasses. I can look up with this. Hey, how's it going there, whippersnapper? What do you got there, young man? I can go like this too. not really. But these glasses are just awesome. I can't not paint with them. So they have this little light on the end that allows, puts a little bit more spotlight on the light on the figure. And I also like to put the lens pretty far out, so it does allow me to look up and kind of have them out of the way. But once I start getting down into the weeds, you won't see nothing but my glasses. So I apologize for the lack of visual. Anyway, so Saturdays are usually my day off. I do nothing of constructive usefulness. So painting is actually a higher step. I usually work out every day, and I stream on Twitch for that. But Sunday through Friday. But Saturday, I never work out. And if I stream, it's going to be games or painting. Things that are easy and things that don't take up any of my... I can see why streamers don't wear these glasses, because they look kind of goofy. But they're lost. They do all their painting off screen and then paint for an hour on. But if I did that, I would never wear them, because I'm either going to stream or I'm not. It's not going to be both. I don't paint enough. So here's another little guy I need to work on. I've been kind of working on. This is his hair. It's my attempt at blonde hair. It's not too bad. It's very yellow. The character's hair is pretty yellow though. I mean, these are what are called chibi figures. These are from Arcadia Quest, and you can see he's not finished. His face obviously has no color. I basically primed him and started putting some base coats on, so he doesn't have much going for him. So not a lot of my guys have been finished, so I've got only a few that I've done anything with. But you know what? Let's see. I sat down to paint. Didn't even get myself water. I got 2 bottles of water and nothing in them. Be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So I have these tiny bottles of water, and I have 2 little lids that go on them. They're little jellies. That's all they are. They're little jelly bottles, and these are the lids that I put on. It's got magnets holding them together. Men's geezer jellies. So why do I carry around tiny little bottles? Why do I use little bottles like this? Because I carry them around, and I do use the X case, cases that I made, my company, and I carry all my paints in there. But I have one of the units has, these are all X cases up on the wall behind me, but I have one of the units carries all my paint brushes and paints and palettes, paint palettes. So I have paint palettes like this. So they're small. I've got like 6. Well, I've got 6 of these containers, but only 3 of them are paint palettes. And I use one of the paint palette sponges, but I cut it down to size. And so there's my palette there of my paints ready to go. And then I've got to finish her up. I really don't want to work on her anymore, but I need to do a couple things. One, I want to put varnish on her, because it's going to be handled. It's a figure that's being used in a miniature, in a D&D campaign, and it's my daughter-in-law's, and I told her I'd paint it, and I did paint it, but then they brought it back for me to put varnish on it, and then I looked at it, because when I painted it, I did it without magnifying glasses, and I thought, I wonder what this looks like under magnifying glass, because I don't know how good she looks, and I looked, and I'm like, oh, it's terrible. It's all blurry and mushy, and paint lines everywhere. It's like, is my vision that bad? Did I paint this? So I took the magnifying glasses. All right, I'm going over a lot of it. So I went back over her and tried to fix the lines and try to. I took some black and I actually took a fine brush and I started going over, and she actually looks pretty good. I think now there's a little bit more detail. The transition from one line thing to the other became a lot sharper, and yeah, she just looks way better now. I did want to go over, like I said, with some of the other colors that I was using, just so that I'm trying to thin the black a little bit more, because there's places where I actually drew lines and it did pretty good at calling things out, but in some spots it almost makes her look striped rather than shadowed. And if I can draw those colors just back a little further where it doesn't look so striped, it just looks more shadowed. I didn't use just shading because, well, I was trying. I want it to be more defined. I want it to be more precisely defined, and the shading is less so. At least the way I do it. I mean, when you use the what do you call it, the washes and stuff, they just don't seem to give you the color you want, or I want. I don't know. Sometimes the wash just sends the, I don't know, wash out the colors. So, and I'm not a fan of the washed out colors. You see me keep looking over at my stuff here. It's because I'm trying to figure out which of these containers I have my Vallejo varnish. Oh, there it is. I think that's the one I'm looking for. Yep, satin varnish. Satin's not totally great. So satin's a little shiny. So if I'm gonna put satin on her, I got to use a matte glaze or something with it to kind of dull it, make it less shiny. Now this is pretty thin. I mean, it doesn't take much, but now some people will go, what I'll probably do is do a coat of satin varnish and then go over it with a matte. You know, I have two things here. I have a matte medium and a glaze medium. I don't know what the difference is. They're both Vallejo. Well, they're mediums. Okay, so this, I think that's just what you put in, but I don't know what's the glaze. Is a glaze a color? Is it a... I don't know what a glaze is supposed to be. So these are mediums that thin the paint, right? You mix it in with the paint, but I don't know what a glaze does. I don't know. Anybody have any idea what a glaze does? Anybody out there? Anybody? Anybody? I mean, how is that different from a varnish? Is it a varnish? Is that what a glaze is? Let's see, glaze medium, water-based, add to colors up to 50% to increase flow and transparency. And slow drying time for shadowing and detailing. Matte finish, very useful for working with pigments. How's that different from... It does not say matte. I don't know how it's different from if it's a glaze. See, you could tell it's not mixed because the bottom is still pretty thick. So I don't know if it would behoove me to put, it's getting better, still a little bit, to put one of these metal balls in here. So I've got these little guys. I put those into the paints to help keep them, you know, it's a shaker ball, stainless steel. So a lot of my paints have those in it, not all of them, probably a third of them right now. It's kind of as I get that paint, I'll look at it, try to shake it up, and I like to have the ball in there because it'll... So if I have the ball in the paint, you can hear it and you can kind of tell how much it's doing the job. If you can hear the ball hitting the bottom of the bottle and the top of the bottle, then you know it's at least getting all the way through the paint. Sometimes when you're shaking it, all you can do is hear the top, which means it's thick at the bottom and it's not making impact through the paint. It's just hitting the paint. So it might be breaking it up. So you have to keep shaking it until eventually it breaks through the hardening or settling paint at the bottom of the bottle, and you start hearing the shaker ball hit the bottom of the bottle. And then at least you know you're getting most of it. Doesn't mean you've cleared it up. You'll probably still have to keep shaking it for a little while after that, but at least you know that you're getting it closer to its normal consistency. Yep, watching people shake paint. You could do a what is it? Mexican. What are those called? The cha-chas? No, cha-chas. I think that's a different thing. What are those called? The I don't know. Chimichangas. There we go. They're called chimichangas. No, the marachas. Maybe that's what it's called. Something like that. I don't know. Spanish word, obviously. They just have sand inside of them. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Those are the only words I know. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Alright, how's that look? Still got a pretty solid, not as much, but it's still, you can still see a pretty thick line of junk at the bottom, whatever that is. It goes to show how often I use these. I'm so bad at using glazes and varnishes on my paints. And you know, there's different opinions as to what putting it on. I mean, if you're just doing it for, if you're going to put it in your shelf, a lot of people don't use them. They're just going to put them out there for display, and it's just going to sit there behind on a nice glass cabinet, hopefully protected. Don't really need it. But if you're going to handle it, start playing with it, start doing all these different, you know, gaming with it, you kind of got to protect it because that paint will start to rub off. Sometimes it'll blur or it'll fade. You know, it's not gonna. Yeah, I wonder if I see. You can see on the bottom here, it is breaking up pretty good. It's pretty much cleared the entire bottle except for this corner and that corner. So down here it looks like it's still there, but and you can even see the runoff. So it's coming off a little bit, but it's definitely getting better. Almost to the point where I'm ready to call it good. I was assuming I'm using it. I don't know what a glaze does. I may have to. How does a glaze differ from. What is glaze versus matte? Does that mean it's shinier? It's not. Yeah, I really don't know. And they even label different. Like one's called 100% acrylic resin, and this one's vinyl acrylic resin. So does that mean they're? This one has vinyl in it. Oh, I think this one's. I think it mentions. We'll add pigment because it says without diminishing adherence, also used as a pigment base. So it, I guess it can make what a transparent color more colorful, or something that's a little too watery. I'm not sure. I don't know what you would use a pigment base for. And this one just says detailing matte finish, very useful for working with pigments. So it already has. This one's better if you're already got pigments. But either way, these are mediums to make the paint thinner. Probably not going to help my varnish needs. But I would use the matte version, add matte coat on it, just to you know, make my satin not so satiny. Trying to see what else I got here. What are some of the other things I've got? I've got an anti-shine additive. That one is a Reaper thing. That too needs a lot of mixing. So that one probably is the same kind of thing where it, another glaze medium. I have two of them. Same exact thing. Don't know why I have two of those, but alrighty. I think that's it for my. So if I want to thin out my varnish, I'll probably have to use the matte medium because I don't have any idea what a glaze or this anti-shine additive, which tells you nothing about it. This has no description at all. So you just figure anti-shine might be a good. Now I don't know if you can mix that. I mean, one of them is Vallejo, and one of them is Reaper. Mixing Reaper and Vallejo. I mean, I know you can do it, but you know the paints are slightly different. The formulas are different. So this one isn't as transparent in the bottle, so it's harder to tell if I'm getting anywhere with it. All right, let's paint. I'm gonna go ahead and use those two guys. I'm gonna use a combination of Vallejo satin varnish and some anti-shine additive from Reaper. I'll put those together. Oh, I never mentioned why I have two bottles. It's probably pretty obvious. One is for rinsing my brush, and one is for adding water to stuff. You know, if I want to thin out my paints, or keep my palette here nice and wet. Sometimes the palette needs more water. Alright, so here's the brush I'm using. It's nice and fresh still. I cleaned it good, obviously, last time, so that's good for me. Take some extra paint off of there. So I gotta dig in and try to see what I can do to adjust her. So here's one of the problems. I don't know. I think people say it's because my wet palette is too wet. I don't know, or not wet enough. But you can see my paints. They kind of separate. See how they all have this watery glaze? So I don't always know what color these are. It's like this guy, not white. This guy is not white. It's not gray. It's actually a dark color, but it's separated. So I mix it up. Take my little mixer majig here. I don't want to spread it out too far, so I gotta mix and find out what the heck color was this. Aha! See, it's a flesh tone color. I knew it was one of those things. So mix it up good, so it's kind of back to normal. And then I gotta find out what some of my other colors are. So obviously my wet palette worked, kept everything wet. It's been a week or two, a week and a half. Didn't smell. I always check for the odor when I open them up. Because you know, if they get moldy, they'll start to smell. Then you're like, oh, time to clean. But this is probably the bloodstone I was using to paint like her leathers. Alright, so what else we got? Pretty sure that one actually is a white. Not sure what I was using that for though, because she didn't have any white. And I wasn't using it for highlights because I haven't gotten around to feeling too good about my ability to highlight in white yet. I am very much an amateur, so when you come to watch me paint, you come in here to watch me ramble, not learn anything. I'm a mediocre painter at best. I don't expect that's going to change anytime soon. I do watch a couple of videos here and there when I want to try something new. I'm always impressed by the kind of work these other painters do out there. And I'd love to be one of those people, but I don't think I dedicate enough time to this. I'd like to, but just too many hobbies, too many things. too many distractions. I mean, you play video games too. I play some video games. I've been playing Orna on the phone, which takes up way too much of my time. I've already been playing it for a year. It's probably getting to that point where I need to say, okay, enough. Enough. Enough is enough, man. Who wants to watch this game? I've pretty much already made it to, I'm at the home stretch. I'm level 10 or whatever it is, the highest you can go. Tier 10. Not level 10. Level tier 10 is 225. I'm 230, almost 233. So I'm going to notify some people that I am online and see if they're interested in, see if anybody wants to watch me ramble. Yeah, I'm not texting to be just to be rude, have people, but I just thought I might invite a couple people. See if I can get some chit chat going. Not everybody's on there. I should probably have an auto post or something where you go online and it does the Twitch thing or something, or maybe I should just do it if it's not auto or not. But okay. So let's see what I want to do to her. So a lot of what I did is, like I said, I just kind of went over and put black in the very crevices because I wanted the stuff to really pop. So I did that. So if you'll look at her, now she looks like she's got a decent amount of detail as stuff is calling out. But also you can tell, like on her arrow, her quiver here, it almost looks striped because you can see the black lines pretty intensely. So the idea there is I probably should go over that with something to lessen the feel that there's black specifically there. Maybe in the deepest of crevices, that's okay, but we are not talking the deepest of crevices here. We're talking just trying to pull it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring it up nice and close. Just bringing it closer to the black. If I can bring it closer to the black, it will wash it just enough. I want to put a thin layer on the black so that it looks like it's so if it's thin layer on the black, will make the black just look like a really dark version of this, right? Because I'm not going to make it thick enough to actually cover the black, just thick enough to hide it, shadow it. Now, one thing I've learned is these glasses take some learning how to switch between them. Sometimes I get stuck not looking through them because it's a transition to go to the glasses and away from the glasses. So, and these lines are so tiny, and it's really easy I'm just impressed by people who do this stuff without glasses, because I barely can do it with them. My goal here is I'm just painting around the black lines to try to dumb down the black just enough that it doesn't look quite so striped. So you don't see the black in a way that it's making this quiver look striped. Now if you look at it closely in the magnet, you can very clearly see that it's not really, it's just the black is in those corners, but it's very very potent. So it just calls out too much when you're doo-doo. Need a game, or a TV show. I oftentimes put TV shows on when I'm painting. You know, a movie, something on. I like to have a movie that I've seen already. Typically, even one that doesn't, maybe not even I don't know, a drama or a talkie. A show that I call them talkies because you don't really have to watch it to know what's going on. You can listen to it like it's an audiobook. But if you wanted to, you can look up and go, "Oh, cool!" You know, watch the action scene when it's taking place. But so I often do that just to kind of have sound going in the background. Some people play music, but then Twitch gets all funny about your music. You have music on there that's not licensed, so we muted your entire stream. It's like, oh, well, great. Guess I'm gonna go. Oh, this ain't Twitch, this is YouTube. But I'm pretty sure they're just as picky. I mean, you know, God, licensing and all that other nonsense. So I have it upside down now. You're probably not gonna be able to see a lot of what I'm doing with her right here. But there's a okay. I'm a one-way painter. I can only paint left or right. I'm not fond of trying to go right to left. So if I want to paint a piece. If I want to paint a piece, I have to turn her over so I can paint that direction. One of the nice things about these too is they have this little light on the end, and they spotlight my work, so I don't have shadows caused by my hands and stuff. As long as I have and you can adjust it so it'll point where you want it to. So I keep going over the same spot. You know, I know some people talk about, you know, which one's better for streaming and live streaming. I mean, you know, I don't know. You know, having your videos up, it seems like most people put their videos on YouTube because, well, YouTube will let you put stuff up and it stays there. Whereas Twitch is kind of like temporary. Here's the problem. I don't know that. So far, my experience has been, I've only been streaming a little bit, and I'm inconsistent, so I mean, there's probably a lot of reasons for it, but so far, I've got 40 whole followers. 40, ha ha ha. Actually, only 38, so it's kind of an exaggeration, but followers on Twitch. And I have 0, 1, 2 on YouTube. And if I have any, it's because I did a little video game design, and I only got about a third of the way through it. It was getting a few views, got a few views, and got up to 15 on one of them or whatever. But it just wasn't getting any traction. And that's one of the things, you know, you got to do this stuff for a long time, over and over, consistently, and preferably on a schedule. And that's the thing. How do you gosh, people are just so good at just doing it. I mean, I need to do this stuff like every day, right? That's kind of the rule. You want to be successful, you got to do this stuff every day. Or not every day, but on schedule. So that's not true. Every day is not true. But like if you're going to do it once a week, every same day, same time, so people know that you are there. And so, and that makes sense. I mean, right? I mean, hey, this dude, I like to watch. I like to watch Active Minds Gamer paint. He's so bad at it, it gives my confidence built up. So I got to watch him, but I never know when he's on. So if I was on every Friday, he'd go, all right, I can go build up my painting confidence because I can watch this terrible painter paint. And he talks about it like he knows what he's doing. No, I don't talk about it like I know what I'm doing. I know not what I'm doing. That is my text messages coming in. That's what that Shazam is. That's my phone saying I got messages. But it really wasn't much. Just yeah. I know. Should I be taking messages while streaming? The answer is probably not. But there's no one on here to tell me not. Now, here's a question. I know there's one person that says, I have one viewer. Are you real? Is there actually a viewer here? Or is that just, because it seems like I always have one. It always says one. It never says zero. Sometimes it says zero only for a second when I first start, and then it says one. Almost always it'll say one, right? Almost the second I start, and then it stays one for the whole time. Sometimes it'll go up to 2 or 3, and then back down to 1, but it'll stay at 1. So I don't know if I actually have a person who always manages, some person, it doesn't have to be the same person, but just somebody, always seems to join and stays. So I always think that the one is just me. It's the OBS stream or whatever is connecting, and it's seeing that as a viewer. That's my my thought. But hey, if you are watching this, even if you're just a lurker normally, tell me you're actually watching it, because I want to know if this one that's always on my stream is actually a person, or if it's just me, feeding. I think it's just me. I think it's always going to say one. The OBS streamer or YouTube actually it does the same thing on Twitch. I almost have never had it say 0, and if it does, it only says it for a split second and goes to 1. And there's not a click. There's not a way to know who's viewing. It doesn't tell you that. Pretty much people are anonymous in this. So there's no way to really say, hey, are you real? Are you real people? Or am I just hallucinating? I think more often than not, I'm probably hallucinating. But my window's really small too, so that doesn't really, there's no way to, I'm going to pop out my chat because I want to see it. I mean, I have it open, but I still prefer it to be kind of out. And why is there's some weirdness going on here, so excuse me. I'm trying to fix the weirdness. I think it's because my it's like half the screen isn't on the screen. That's what I'm trying to fix. I'm trying to figure out why there's not like a vertical bar for some. Oh, there it is. Hey, I got a bar. Dun dun dun. All right, so now I can see the whole thing. I don't know. That was weird. All right, put my chat back. Here, chat. Says, see, I have a concurrent viewer. I don't know if that person's real. Are you real? Or are you just my imagination? Just say, I'm real. Just say, hello, or give me a thumbs up. I'm a real person. I don't want to talk to you though, so don't talk to me back, but just tell me. But just so that you can be rest assured, this is not in your head. Error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to receive a smooth stream. So I don't know what it means by not enough video. What is a not enough video? Not enough video. Does that mean I don't have enough bits? I don't know what that means. Somebody tell me. Somebody save me. Okay, so I don't know what that means. I'm gonna do a quick search. Now, so here's a trick. I'm using a Surface Pro, which of course is probably part of the reason why it's not a great stream. But I need to type on it, and the keyboard is folded away. So I need to know why YouTube, what that means. Fix YouTube is not how do I fit? Nope. Receiving. YouTube is not receiving, right? Is that what it's? I think that's what it says. How come it's nobody ever? YouTube is not receiving. Huh. Well, apparently nobody's ever typed this one in, or nobody knows how to fix it. Enough. Aha, there it is. All right, what do I got? I got a YouTube is not receiving enough video. That's Reddit. What does Reddit say? So, this is my painting stream. How to stream and not get this error. Is it network thing? YouTube streaming has that problem quite frequently. It shouldn't be an issue and should fix itself during the stream. What was your streaming bitrate? I tested 1440p stream at 15,000. It worked flawlessly, but I have experienced congestion and other issues during other YouTube. Okay, so I guess it just depends. It could be bitrate, could just be YouTube wonking out. So, hey, let me know how bad it looks. How much? Is it me? Is it me or is it Memorex? Okay, well. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what I have to go look at details and look at my bit rate and try to see what people say. Most people aren't providing any useful information at all right now. Yeah. Oh. Okay, let's move on. I've been wanting to do something with these leaves and stuff at the bottom of her on her base. See, she's got. I did this impression thing on her base, and you can see some leaves, some ferns. It's okay. It's not a great impression. I probably didn't do a great job. Ideally, I would have. Here's the thing: it's a very small base, and the impression thing is a big square like this. And as a result, when you put that on, some of the sections don't really lend themselves well to a tiny base. So you impress and you might get one big leaf. Or if you find the right spot, some small leaves, but it's only in sections. So I took the area I liked and I kind of impressed it a few times around the base so that it would get it, but it also made it kind of wonky. So ideally you put some real bushes on here too, so make it less weird. So I should probably take some. I don't do bases very often, but if I wanted this to look better, I should probably make that. What'd I do? Hey, my thing disappeared. All right, hold on. I'm still here, just kind of fixing my screen. There we go. I'm back, or I wasn't gone, but I mean my screen was broken. So, all right. I don't like, see, I don't know if you can see her forehead. It's really hard to figure out where the center of this camera is. All right, so there is her forehead. And you can see right up here, there's this little patch. And I did that because I wanted her to have, I don't know, some kind of something there. I don't know what I was thinking. It looked like it was like a metal plate, almost like a shield or something, you know, like it's something that went on her little headband there, which appears to be, you know, whatever. It could be feathers or whatever. I ended up making it mostly the same color, but I probably should have changed its colors, made it like feathers, but I didn't. And that said, the front part of it looks like it's supposed to be like a metal plate or some other kind of a plate, and I wanted her to be kind of naturalish looking, not a lot of metal, so the only real metal on her is the spear or the arrow tip. Even that could have been a stone, I suppose, but anyway, that's another thing. I wish I could have put a bowstring on. I'm not talented enough to build a bowstring. Some people have built a bowstring. I've seen people do this out of glue. They use like a super glue. You know how it gets stringy, and then they basically take that stringy, dried up super glue or whatever, and they stretch a line from one end to the other, and then they have their string. But keep in mind, that's like not gonna last. I mean, it'll last fine if you stick it in the closet, but or on a shelf, but probably not great for a playable character. But it still looked kind of cool. So how's her thingy look? Does it look? It doesn't look quite so striped anymore, does it? Now that I've put those on there, which is good. So I was looking at her really close, which is probably the nemesis of detail. If you look at it really close, that I don't know how they did this really, but the mold has almost like texture, like it's a wicker, like her quiver is wicker, which makes sense for you know, a halfling, right? But it's also you can't really make that pop. I don't know how to make that kind of detail pop out. It's just too thin. It's like it was designed into it, but the mold, you know, there's just no way to emphasize that. It's too small, too little detail. Short of freehanding and putting some wicker callouts, putting some callouts onto it, I think it's kind of a lost cause, to be honest. So says me, and if I says it, you know it's true. It is how it is. Who are you? I am me, and you shall listen. It's not true. I probably don't really know what I'm talking about half the time. For me, painting is an experiential thing. Experience. You learn by experience, and so you draw conclusions based on your own experience. But ultimately, that approach isn't terribly reliable, because sometimes you might have an experience, and then if you draw a conclusion from it, you are wrong, because that could have been a unique experience. And this is why listening to people who've been doing it a lot longer than you matters. And I do that sometimes, but I don't always give it the credence that it deserves. Because it's like, man, but when I did it, there's no way that happens. So how can you override everything I've been learning? It's like, it's easy, buddy. I've been doing it. Hogwash. He who does more gets to say more. I won't say he with the most experience wins, because that's not always true either. But experience means more coming from a person who's been doing it longer. So, now I won't say longer. I say doing it longer in combined time. Because if I say I've been painting for, 6 years, whoa, this guy's got 6 years of experience on him. He knows what he's doing. It's not true. I've been painting for 6, 7 years, but I've painted for maybe a year. And that's because I am not a consistent painter. I want to be. I have a desire to be a regular, everyday painting sort. But what I don't have is, I say motivation. Is motivation my flaw? No, it's not motivation. It's prioritization. I don't think I give these things, as much as I want to do it more, I don't give it enough priority. I let things like other hobbies, laziness, yes, laziness, other priorities, hobbies, laziness, all take precedent, take priority. And kind of keeps me from becoming truly, alright, I don't know that I'd ever become a truly skilled painter. Some people say practice makes perfect. I don't know if it's true. I mean, I don't know. Perfect, okay, so it's definitely not true for perfection, but for improvement, yes. But here's the thing. I feel like I've gotten more control over the brush, and I'm not sure why. Like I said, my gaps have been so long sometimes, and I'm like, how has my body even bothered to memorize how to paint better? Not make so many make fewer mistakes and that kind of thing. Stay in the lines. For me, it's I think it's the magnetic the magnifying glasses. Truly, no, I'm not kidding, man. These magnifying glasses were like, what? I don't know what wood I used. No. So like this guy, tanned leather. I guess he looks pretty good. I'm trying to figure out what I used for the shaft of the arrow. I don't know what I used for the shaft of the arrow. Welcome to chat. I wish I could turn that off. How do I turn that off? It's like taking up my chat screen. It just says welcome to chat. Remember to guard your privacy. It just sits there like, thank you. Thank you, good sir. I'm tempted. I'm really tempted to put feathers on her hat instead of just being, I was just making it like a wood, I want to say bark, like a bark type band around her head. So you can see the band going around her head here. And I made it kind of just bark. I'm tempted to turn it into feathers. Like an Indian chief type thing. But see, this is how I never finish a piece. Because I'm sitting here going, how can I make this more this, after I sat down and the first thing I said was, I want to be done with this dang figure. Enough is enough. No more. Go away. Leave me alone. Time to move on. It's like, I do like painting. No, really, I do. And it's not even a patience thing, right? I want to move on. I want to feel like I get more done, though. That's the problem. It's not that I don't like that. I mean, if it takes long, it takes long. But I mean, sometimes I just look at my case here and go, there's like 2 or 3 pieces in here that are actually done. I mean, if I actually looked at them, a lot of the pieces I have that look close to done, if you look at them, are actually not done. They're like missing, something's not painted, or I think here's the colors I'm looking for. A lot of skin tones, dark, flesh, sunny flesh. This must be all my flesh tones. What's the clue? What's the clue I got? Well, the word flesh is on every bottle. But I'm trying to find like my light browns, or sand, or I'm looking for like my what do they call it? The faded khaki might be. I think that's what I used there. I think that's what I used on her quiver. But I wanted something like driftwood, or because I made her arrow shaft kind of a light colored wood. I don't remember what it was. See, that's another problem. When you take too long to paint a figure and then you're painting the dang thing. This character has been on my desk or being painted to some extent for years now. Probably at least a year. That's way too long, isn't it? Dark flesh. Dark flesh. No, no. I think I'm just gonna pick a color and go with it. I think some of these colors are close enough. I mean, really. This is what ends up happening. You find a color that goes, and you paint, and you paint your figure, and you're like, 6 months later, what was that? so annoying. Oh, so anyway, I covered up my concurrent viewer count because that one number was driving me crazy. I don't know if a 1 is a valid number, and it just pretty much always says 1. So I was like, because I would, I'm honest. I believe that I am not that entertaining. So here's the thing. I expect that 1 to turn to a 0. at least for a minute, and then someone else will stumble in and go, oh, let's listen to this guy jabber on. And then I'll hit say 1 again, but it doesn't drop. It just stays there at 1 all the time. I have 1, so I know it's me. It's got to be me. It's got to be the OBS studio or something here. So I truly am talking to myself. Hey, one dude. Hi. Hey, when did you join? The second you did. How did you manage that? Well, I'm the software you're using to actually connect to YouTube. Oh, well, hey there, OBS Studio. Hi, thanks for joining. Wait, no, you're joining me. No, I'm the one who's streaming, so you're the one who's joining. But no, you can't do that, man. I'm doing the streaming. This is my paint. No, it's not how it works, sir. I am in control. No. No, I say. I will fire you. I'm not. Actually, this is an OBS studio. This is just OBS. And why do I just keep grabbing paints and shaking them? Because I don't know which one I want to use as the one. You never know what these paints actually look like when you start painting. All I know is this Muerte dead flesh, which is a decent darker skin color. Just doesn't do it for me. I'm really leaning towards it being that tanned leather. Or khaki. Khaki? The thing is, I want it to be different from... My goal is that it being kind of a slightly lighter tan color. Alright, screw it. Aha, see? The paint was drying up a little bit. You couldn't hear the steel ball. I knew I had a steel ball in this one. But notice how you can hear the metal hitting both sides of the bottle? That means it's at least getting to both sides of the bottle. Which means at least there's some amount of paint mixing going on in there. You got most of the paint involved in the color. If you don't hear it on both sides, then it's not. All right. You can also tell, because if you put it underneath here, you can see that there's a variation in color inside the bottle there. That means it's not mixed up good enough. But how much patience do I have? That's what I'm asking myself right now. How much patience do I have to shake the bottle? Spending all my time shaking bottles does not sound fun. All right, Dead Flesh, make it happen. I did not create. Oh, do I not have a second available wet palette? Ah, I have one fresh and ready to go. Fresh and clean, ready to be utilized. Okay, so a secondary palette. Probably could use a little bit of water. I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty wet still, but as long as you use clean water. This is just tap water, but some people like to use distilled because it makes sure you don't have any, I don't know, what do you call it, particles or whatever in there that would contribute towards getting moldy, so it'll last longer. You know, I find if you got decently clean tap water, then it'll probably be fine. All right. Again, I am not one of those precision. It still feels wrong. I know I have a color. It's like sandwood or something like that, or driftwood, but I can't find it. I try to keep all my colors pretty organized. You know, my browns together and my tans together. And sometimes I put all my neutral colors, black, grays, whites, all that stuff together. But sometimes they still end up wandering off. And I don't paint with other people. I mean, I don't have other people using my paints very often. See, I got tanned skin, which probably should be up there with the flesh tones, huh? Got tanned skin. And none of these colors look light enough to be the one I'm looking for. So my wanderings right now are just being stubborn. It's like, Ken, you don't know where it is. It's, oh, here's driftwood brown. Is that it? Oh, maybe that wasn't the one I used. Oh, maybe it is. That's possible. Well, if I were to compare these two, I'd say, no, it wasn't it. Probably should use it though. Go over it a little bit, because the color between my arrow shaft and the color of my quiver, they don't vary very much. There's very little variance. A variant deficiency. A lack of variances. It's kind of an ugly color though, huh? I don't know, some people like their green, just driftwood brown looks like green brown, huh? It's kind of a funky color. I'm not a green fan, so when I see things that are green, I'm like, why would I use that? Which is terrible, because green, I mean, green might be great on the wood there, on the ground, but screw it. Muerte. Was it muerte? Muerta. Carne muerta. It's going to have to be the solution for the day. So we're going to put me some little bit of water in here. And we're going to soften this paint up. And we're going to try to make it nice and thin for my purposes. Let's get a nice little slippy dippy dippy. It's pretty thick, this carne muerta. So I don't want to. Needs to be. See how it's kind of like. It's supposed to, they say milky thin. I think that's getting pretty milky thin, huh? It's not that much. I'm painting like probably what amounts to a fraction of a tiny little spot. I do got to try to squeeze out any extra water. I don't like a lot of water in my brush. Okay. So we're going to try to get them arrows. What board game we'll play tonight? Like I said earlier, going to be playing board games tonight, and I'm going to try and stream it. So I'm going to set up a cameras just over there where I have some space for tables, and I'll pop out some tables, and some friends are going to come by, and we're going to paint, or not paint, get a game. Don't know what game yet, so that's the mystery of the night. What do I foresee us playing? Some of our, we don't play a lot of the classic gaming games, like classic gaming games, not classic games. We don't play those at all. But classic gaming games, Catan and those, we don't play a lot of that anymore. We've been playing, Cult of the New. Something new comes out, we generally try to play it, but I don't know what we're playing yet. I usually kind of leave it up to the crowd. But if they come down and we're just using my games, so I have a fairly decent selection of games. And so I don't know. I kind of like to play a game or two that we haven't played before, or played in a long time. All my games we've played, I don't have that many games that are not true. I have Caverna. We've played that, but we haven't played it here because I have it still in the shrink wrap. I bought it because I thought it was a pretty good game, and then all my friends had it, and I'm like, well, why the heck would I open mine if they have it? So I don't take it to game night when we go other places. I gotta say, I'm gonna need some black because I need to draw some definition between these arrows to make them. I didn't draw an arrow. I'm surprised I didn't put black lines between the arrows. That seems kind of silly. I know, you can do wash. I know. Do wash, man. Wash is great. But is it? Is it though? I have a hard time committing to things like everybody says it works. And I've used it. I've done it. But it's like, I'm not convinced. Sometimes it just looks like it washes everything out. It just makes my stuff look weird. And then I have to go paint over it again because it made everything weird looking. And everything gets all dark colored, and I don't like that. So I'm just tapping off. I still have a little extra water. You can always tell when you have extra water, because when you have extra water and then you go put a drier brush against it, it soaks it all up and you got no paint left. That tells you that you had very little paint and too much water. Should not soak up right off. You shouldn't be able to soak all the paint off of your off of what you're coloring. That implies that your paint was too thin and your water too fluid. Just so impressed when I watch people paint online. They're so good. They're so good. I mean, people will. I mean, like who was I watching the other day? Something minis or whatever. He was doing a cloak. It was kind of transitioned from like a yellowish color to a blue color, and it just kind of glowed. It was just so good. People. I mean, it's just so much talent out there. I am just people get. And I don't understand. Now it's quite possible that I don't do that because I don't try it. I always paint minis I want to paint because I feel like I don't have enough time to practice. In other words, paint minis I don't want to paint. If you paint minis you don't want to paint though, those are your, well, let's rephrase that. Not you don't want to paint them. Sometimes you don't want to paint an army, but you have to because you want to use it for a game. But if it's for, I mean, some people like painting armies, I guess. But what I'm saying is, if you don't have a reason to paint it, you know, it's just like I'm just gonna practice. This guy is kind of coolish, but I really don't care. I'm just gonna practice. And if you do that, that's your chance to try new things. My problem is, what happens if it comes out good? See, my optimism says, if it comes out good and I put on this lousy piece, now I gotta go do it again. I don't want to do that. That takes too much time. That takes patience and time. I got plenty of time. All I got is patience and time. That takes plenty of time. I don't know, how's that song go? Patience and time. Man, I get that tune in my head and then I want to sing it. Still got this knob on her leg. I do not get it. I'm really like, it just driving me bonkers. She's got this weird knob on her leg and I don't understand what that knob is supposed to be. I wonder if it's even supposed to be there. I feel like it needs to be chopped off. I almost want to take a razor, chop it off, prime it, and and just paint her leg and say, sorry girl, you cannot have this knob on your leg. It makes no sense. I don't know why it's for. Let's see. Can I show you the knob? Can I show you the knob? Does anybody care? Alright, let's see if I can see this knob. Oh, it's kind of blurry though. If you turn it over, her knob is right there. Kind of, sort of, in a way. Can you see that? Maybe if you have a screen. I have my screen pretty small, so it's a little knob right there, right there. I don't know what that is, and it's just there. I painted it the same color as the knee pad she has, but I only say I don't think it's the knee pad because another piece of the knee pad, because the other leg doesn't have it. The other leg don't have no knob on it. It's a knobless leg. Absolutely, completely knob free. Okay. I think some of my paints might be drying, even though they were wet when I started. My wet palette is having trouble keeping up with whatever the dryness is of this room. So I want this color back. of water in my brush. Lots of water, lots of water, lots of water. Bacalhau, bacalhau, bacalhau. Okay. Alright, so let's see here. What was I doing? This is one I was thinking. She's got these little straps that come off of her knee pad that are supposed to take the color all the way around her leg. But it was weird because the knee strap wasn't quite matching up on the other side. Because she's got a knee strap. I think it's because she's got several things strapped to her leg, and I think that's what's throwing me off. She's got a little pouch there, and then she's got another little pouch there, which I think is just kind of a water bottle. And then she's got knee pad. 3 things strapped to her leg. So says I. I don't know what that thing is on her head. I'm really tempted to say it's nothing and change that thing into something. So, I am wiping out this little thing on her forehead. I don't know what it is. It's just not working for me. Does not work for me, man. So, I'm thinking I'm giving her some kind of a... I'm just turning it into something. Don't know what yet, but it's becoming something. Thinking about adding more colors, giving her some feathers. I don't know. Anything just to eliminate that yuckiness. Actually, just looks better doing that. Just taking those lines all the way through and calling it good. Just looks like she's got something strapped in there. All right, so I'm okay with that. I think. Glove probably could use a little bit more love. Glove. Get this little black carryover. Come down a notch. See, and then this glove's all weird because it's like I can't tell where her hand is. She's got like, yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty detailed little mini when you're looking at it in the package, but when you pull it out and you start looking at it under magnifying glass, greatest way to ruin the delusion is to look at something under the magnifying glass. You go, wait a minute, that's not as cool as I thought it was. There's like blur here and lines there and missing things there, and I don't even know what that is, and what did they mold this with? What was the concept? It'd be cool to see the original mold, or the original, what do they call it? The original design. The original design would hopefully be a little more clear as to what the heck a particular piece is supposed to be. And put a little wash, I know. Said I don't like wash, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, you newbie. think this is supposed to be brown, but I probably should mix it, make sure. But this was, I think this is the clothes. I kind of painted her clothes kind of a greenish brown. Khaki brown. Drag out my extra paint. Pick up some of that little tiny paint here. Make sure it's not too thick. Seems okay. And then make a move under correcting. Okay, well, I think that's a little better. Just had to clean up the mess that I made. There was a little piece of flesh on her shirt. Now, in Paint World, it's just about as easy to fix as if it was actual flesh on her shirt, because you can just pull it off. In this case, you paint over it and it becomes shirt. Actual flesh, you peel it off and find the shirt underneath, but you know. I actually think I'm about done. I'm about ready to call this girl done. I need to do, like I said, I still have a desire to fix that base a little bit. So one thinks, you know, with a tiny little palette like this, how are you supposed to get anywhere? But you know what? When you're painting tiny lines on tiny figures, it's really not that hard. Because you're just barely touching the paint half the time, you know? You're not really making any. I just need drops. In fact, when I don't paint the big figs where you need like to get your brush nice and sloppy with paint and go crazy. I paint people-sized figs most of the time. And when you do that, you just don't need to worry about things like not having enough paint on your palette. I've even painted a dragon using this palette, so not a big dragon, but you know, just a couple of decent sized like guys. I think the biggest ones I did was my clockwork dragon, or whatever you call it. He looks like a steampunk dragon. Looks like he's kind of metallic or metal. Or he is metal, and he came out okay. Probably, realistically, probably qualifies as not done too. Because, like I said, I get a guy to a point where he looks kind of done, and then I like move on to something else because I don't know what to do. It's the finishing effects. I'm terrible at them. I don't know what to do to finish a guy. there's the little bases of these arrows that are right underneath the what do they call it, the flock, whatever that flock. I don't know, the part where the little feathers are in the back. It's the base of those. I'm trying to paint it kind of different from the rest. So, and you can't even see that piece on the horn she's holding. What's that?
So does the air running down here?
No, I don't know.
Cool. What's that one?
So I think, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm about done. What I'm doing right now is touching up, adding a little reddish brown colors to the leather here. Kind of pushing back some of these black lines just a tad. Trying to alleviate the overlined effect. But overall, I think she looks pretty good. Under a magnifying glass, she's got a lot of mold issues. Period. But I think just looking at her from like this angle, without magnifying glass, she don't look too bad. I just don't know what to do about that. I want to make, I think what I'm going to do, I already went over the base with some wash, so I think I need to come out with some more distinct coloring on the base. So here's the medium olive, which is kind of green. What I actually thought about doing is painting outright the mud-ish color around into a more black color. I mean, literally taking it to a dark color, like a walnut black or a black brown or something, just so that it really makes the leaves pop a little bit more, because right now they just seem a little too not poppy. They're not poppy leaves. Here, I'm gonna hold the walnut brown. Walnut is a wood, right? So let's make this mud kind of a dark, muddy walnut brown. Just make it your own. You know, it's your picture. It's just a beautiful thing. Channeling my inner Bob Ross. So when you paint it, you just touch it here and touch it there, and then voila, you have a tree. And then you just touch a tad here, and you drag it down here, and voila, it's a reflection. And you do a little tab here, and oh, you got a mountain. It's like, no, that's not how it works, Bob. It works for you because you have a magic paintbrush. Nobody out here has magic paintbrushes, Bob. I don't know where you're thinking all these magic paintbrushes are coming from, but I think you own the only ones. You can't just touch something twice and then poof, there's a scenery. And talking in a calm voice is not the solution, trust me. So you go, alright. But you just have to be calm and just enjoy it. You just have to take your brush and make it just soak up the paint, you know, just get it like it's just loving your brush. You just want it to love your brush. And then when you do that, it'll just drop onto your paint, and then you'll have a mountain scene based on the magic of paint. And it's like, there's no magic of paint, Bob. Doesn't exist, Bob. There's only you and your magic paintbrushes doing things that nobody can do except you. Alright, so now this is where I'm going to just say screw it all, and all my mud around my brushes is going to get really dark and muddy. This way I can make my leaves and ferns and stuff really kind of become more leafy and ferny. They have these. Just gonna do plop this gunk in here. We're just going to say, ooh, instead of being this weird color, let's make it this other weird color so that all of the things that aren't weird colored can look like normal colors. This is a pretty decent looking mud. Now I don't know if it's going to dry looking decent like this, but I think I like where it's taking me. Be careful not to cover my logs. There are some sticks and stuff on here too. I don't want to cover those. So we'll just keep plugging away. Giving myself a nice layer of brown. Dark, dark brown. Call out my mud. Make my mud muddy. Now, of course, I think I'm painting it pretty dark, but I could very well not be painting it as dark as I think, because once this dries, it could just go. Then there's the idea that some of this could be like a rock, and you want your rocks to be kind of gray, maybe gray, or I guess you can have other color rocks, right? Don't need it to be too overly thin, because I really am not shooting for really thin paint. I want the paint to be watery, so if it dries, it's fine, but this way it'll be smooth. I don't want it to look paint strokey, so it wants to be thin, but go on kind of generously. Go on generously, it'll fill in the cracks a little bit more, just look a little bit more. I think I touched her boot. Touching her boot with dark colors means touching your boot again later with light color. So I got some variants of these leaves here, and I got to make sure I get all the way around them, because it'll look weird if my brown just stops in places. Got to make sure I cover the entire, that the brown is leaking into where the brown should be. So it's everything that's green can pop. I'm going for poppy green. So we gotta make my browns get into the deep crevices. Make kind of like a wash, but I want this to be darker than your typical wash. I mean, I actually want it to be like the gaps are just outright brown. So I can use brown or black, but I'm using this muddy walnut brown color.
What happened to the binders from here?
Binders are not in here. They might look in the guest room there on the shelf. And then all of the Pokemon stuff Caden might have in his room. So we will think it's pretty good. So I think the idea here that the leaves would pop more is kind of working out. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm about done with this as far as bringing the base out a little bit more, calling out the brown, getting it to look a little more muddy. And I think it does look more muddy. It's definitely more brown. Yeah, something I'll have to do. You gotta look at it without the magnifying glass too, because if you don't, you will not see. So I'm going to take a little bit of the wash, yes, and I'll use a little bit of the wash and put it up onto the leaves a little bit more. So maybe it'll call out a little bit more of the what do you call it? Leaf details, leaf lines. But I don't. This has to be thin because I really don't want it to overdo the. I want it to blend away. I don't want the leaf to get black. So a lot of this I actually have, it looks like, already in some amount of wash on the leaves. So that's part of the, it's partly good, I suppose. Some visitation, visit people, friends came over. Some family, I mean, son came over, was doing some cleaning of his car. Yep, COVID cleaning. You know, some people had their car, didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything for many, 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 many months. And the car does not like being left alone for many, 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 many months. And it'll get mold. Yeah, so he had mold in his car. Because it just moisture, whatever, you know, condensation in the car, and it just sits in the car because nobody comes in and airs it out by driving it every day or every few days because he never left. And now he's getting back out there and his car needs good cleaning. Happened to my daughter too. Her car actually had some serious leaking because she actually had water in the trunk, which did not go well for the car. That was a bad thing. My car got a little bit, but I got out more often, so it didn't get mold, but definitely got So what do you think? There's my base. Not great. Not bad. I mean, I kind of like this little impression thing, but you know, it's obviously not quite the same as actually putting real life leaves and stuff down. It probably would have been good if I'd have put a few bushes on and stuff and let it be good for that, but I think she's not too bad now. Alright, she definitely is at the point where it's ready to do. I think I'm going to call it good. I think I like the improvements to her hat and her face. I got eyes on her now, a little bit more contrast in leaves and the mud she's walking in. Yep. Definitely gonna go with it. I think I'm gonna call it. She needs a varnish, but I gotta let her dry a little bit. So I'm gonna take her and put her down there. And then I gotta start working on some other dude. So the question is, what is my next project? My next task? This is one of the guys I want to start working on. See, but I'm intimidated by dragons because they're big and lots of work. I did kind of go through and fill in some of the cracks in his wings and stuff to start getting him ready. And so one of the things I do sometimes when I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do is I just primer something. So to this guy, he's huge, right? I mean, primering these big dudes is a lot of brush nonsense. I mean, this is why people use spray primers. I don't know if I have a spray primer. I should probably spray primer on. I should try that, but then I can't do it here. I wonder if I have a spray primer somewhere. I have a spray varnish, which is what I'm actually thinking of trying on her, because that's really easy. But I gotta shake it good because I have spray primer. I got some paint spray primer stuff that's pretty decent, but I mean, it's pretty well known. It's Tester or something. People use it. And I said, all right, I'll try it. And I didn't shake it up enough. And when I sprayed it, I snowed my guy. Oh, God. That was terrible. I had painted a bunch of minis for Room 25 from the original board game. And, yeah, that didn't go well at all. It was a sad day. Oh, and then additionally to her, I painted, my wolf. See, this is my little Lazy Susan spinner display. I don't know, like that. Looks better though when it probably won't work quite as well like this, but I can put it like that. See the wolf. So this is also her mini. This is the wolf that pals around with her. She captured this wolf. He is not a dire wolf. He's just a regular wolf, but he's a big wolf. So they're friends. They journey around together. So yep, both those guys could use some varnishing. They will be on the varnishing list. And then another person in our party is named Kalis. This is a dude I painted for that one. See, I actually did some plucking. I did some stuff with that. I put some little sand on the base and stone and rock, and he probably could use a good spraying of varnish as well. But he kind of came out okay. Actually, I kind of like this guy. He came out pretty good in my feeling. Okay, he's not. I'm no. What do you call it? Expert at this stuff, but they're coming out pretty good. All right, so I got those guys. Where is my dude? He didn't come out as good. I feel like he's missing something too. I don't know. Sometimes you paint a guy and it's just like something's not right. Sometimes you feel like you do too much color, too little color, too something or other. There's always something. I need to paint more Arcadia Quest figs. I've got this dragon guy. Probably not going to paint him right now. He's going to have to wait. He still sits on the back list, back burner. But I like to paint pieces that we play in board games because they get to come out more often. because you know, pull out the board game, you can play it. He's already ready to go. Ones that go into these big campaign games, man, I must have pretty good light. Didn't even notice my light wasn't on. So, which is good, I guess. Let's see. Who is going to be next on my list of things to paint? I should probably focus more on these dudes. These guys, he's Gloomhaven. And as you can see, I attempted to primer him with the up and down primer. he's got down primer white and up primer black. So he's really black one way. But as you can see, he's probably not as, see, he looks very white primer there, but very black primer there. Probably not done great because I don't know. I got to go see. And with these guys, I kind of try to paint them according to their color schemes for the most part. I will change up stuff. Like I might paint some of the designs, but like the skin or whatever. What are they supposed to be? So I try to paint according to whatever the picture is in the box, so you can kind of see, you know, this is who that guy is. So you can match him a little bit to the pictures or the cards or whatever. And you go, oh, this is that guy because he's got this. But if I change up his color scheme too much, he won't look like the same figure. I will be trying to figure out Frank Walker. Oh, why am I yawning? Okay, so it's 1 for 5. I've been doing this for an hour and a half. That's not too bad. But it's 3 o'clock. I need to start getting ready for game night. So I gotta set up a table, and I'm gonna move the camera around, see if I can get a good setup for the stream, and then we will attempt to stream that later. Maybe I should put that on the schedule. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what game we're gonna play yet though, so we may be going through the whole setup and everything of whatever we play, rather than just having it set up already. But anyway. I think that's good for now. I finished that character. I've got 3 people in our party. Well, 3 figs from our party done. Actually, 4. I'm going to go grab the other dude. Well, that's a good question. I don't know where he went. Looking around, and so I found some of the minis that I have painted. But my Zen Li is my fighter guy that I've been playing with, and I got to figure out where he's at before the next meetup. So these are some of the dudes I painted. Okay, so I was going to show a couple. These are some. This is the Room 25 figures that I painted. See, that guy, big honking dude. He came out all right. I don't think he's too bad. Actually, the one I really liked of that though. That's not Room 25. Oh no. This guy is from what is that? Spectre Ops, I think. He might be Spectre Ops. Yeah, and then. These are Room 25 figs. So I painted her kind of like the figure on the box, or the way they painted it. And I thought it came out pretty good. I put the little stars on her clothes. They do kind of look like stars, but you got to look closer. They look like blotches from a distance, but if you look close, they kind of look like stars, some of them. So she came out pretty decent. I painted them in the same color scheme as the box. So now my daughter actually painted this one. She did a really, man, she was like, when did she paint this? She was probably 13 at the time. I think she did a pretty good job. She actually painted it better, I think, than the box picture. And she actually did eyes and all that stuff, which is pretty good considering how hard that is. And I'm assuming I can be heard okay since nobody says anything. I assume I'm good. And I painted the little, this whole series got painted, so I painted all of them. But these are the ones that I mentioned that I sprayed with varnish and snowed them all. And so they all had like specks of junk all over them, so I had to go through and repaint them all, which really sucked. And another guy. So this is pretty single tone colors. There wasn't much to it, but he came out all right. So all amateur stuff, my typical fare, but still fun to, still kind of painting. So when you want to watch someone paint, and you don't really feel like watching someone paint who's just gonna make you feel bad that you're not a very good painter, watch me, and then I will make you feel better, because you go, oh, there is people out there who don't paint like they've been doing it for 60 years and actually stream and share share their work. So if you want to see amateur painting, I'm your guy. So when you want to see what it's truly like to see a person who's not great but still enjoys the hobby, I'm your guy. So, but also you'll find the reason I'm not great is because I don't focus very well. I get distracted and I start talking about stuff, and I let my family come around and I talk to them, and I watch movies while I'm painting, and so yeah, there's a good reason why I'm probably not a great painter, but it's alright. All that matters is that you enjoy it, and that's me. I like to do it because it's fun. I like the end results. I mean, I like the way some of my latest figures are coming out. Even if some of them, like this guy has actually followed the color scheme of the box. I think he still came out pretty good. I like him. Donald Duck. He's pretty close actually accurate. But I thought he came out pretty good too. Not bad. He didn't have any. What I like about him is somehow I managed to do it without getting paint strokes all over it. He actually looks like he's, smoothly painted. And Bruce Lee, he was easy. So I'll put him over there. Stuff to paint. I could probably do more on him. I got to figure out maybe more on his hair and stuff, but I'm not. He's okay. And a lot of work in progress, dudes. I should probably finish this eagle. That would be a good one for me to finish. It's for my druid. He can summon giant eagles, and I wanted him to have all of his pets. I did some summonables that I have done already, but that's not one of them. It's got to be completely done. It's a golden eagle, giant golden eagle. All right, so guess that's it. If there's no reason to hang out, right? Because don't really have anybody watching. So there's that. Nobody watches. Nobody notices that you sign off earlier than you said you were. I didn't really say a time. I thought I'd do a couple hours, but like I said, it is 3 o'clock, and it is getting time to. So this is my old. This is a magnet, and this is what I was using for my alternate options for holding my figures. So these are metal. So I would put this on here, and then I take the figure and I just slap it on there, and then I would paint. So that works out pretty good too. And this thing is pretty good. This works out all right, but it kind of depends on what I'm doing. You know, if the figures, I don't know. I guess it just depends on my mood. But this works out pretty good because I can hold it pretty much all the way. The reason I had this is because some of the figures I was working on don't have the flex iron put on the bases, so they won't stick to my magnet. So I either have to put the flex on, but if I'm painting someone else's mini, I don't want to put flex iron on them because they may not like it. So this guy, oh, I did put a flex iron on him. I didn't know that. Guess they could peel it off if they don't want it. But the flex iron is so that you can do this and paint, and it doesn't. They don't come off. It does make. It's weird though because it's not a magnet, but not being a magnet, it still acts like it's a magnet. It's like it won't go in the center of this magnet. The way these magnets are, they only have their magnetic pull around the outside. They don't really have magnetic pull in the middle. It's just the way that they're designed. Just earth magnets are weird. Anyway, so what I really use that for now is when I want to put these into my case, I like to stack them and keep them in the case. Well, if I want them to stay together, I use this. This makes it so that I can put them in the case with the magnet, and they will stay in place. They stay right where I put the bottles. Voila! Magic, magic. Okay, I'm gonna try to leave or get things going here and paint more often. I do like painting. I would like to schedule my painting. I don't do it yet. It's pretty much off the cuff, but and it's I've tried to set schedules and then I don't stick to them and then I feel bad. And then no one's gonna follow you if they say, hey, he's gonna be on it too, and he doesn't come, and that's the way it goes. So I can't expect a following if I'm not around when people actually want to watch. So anyway, talk to you later. Have a good one. Probably won't paint anymore today. I mean, painting or gaming doesn't whoa, wait a minute. I thought it was gonna be 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock. That's all right. I'm gonna try to set up for the gaming. Then we gotta decide what we're doing for dinner. Probably doing pizza, and then I don't know. I kind of want to set up the tables and stuff and try to see if I can get a good setup for our gaming tonight. So, I want to make sure I have that going, and then it'll take some time. Plus, now I need to know where I put Zen Lee. Where the heck did Zen Lee go? My mini for I wanted to show that, and now I'm not sure where I put him. I typically feel like I'm a fairly organized person, but then once pieces disappear, that goes out the window. My theory of I'm organized. I really got to start painting my Gloomhaven because I want to start doing that game. And some of my games I don't play unless I have the minis painted, or at least some of them. The one I want to use. If I can get the one I want to use painted, then I'm like, okay, it's ready. And then I get to have the only painted figure on the table. And then sometimes I'll paint monsters, but some of these games don't have monsters that are actual figures. Okay, I did order Frosthaven, and so I'm expecting that'll come someday. But hey, let's at least let's worry about getting Gloomhaven going first before I'm worried about that one showing up. And then I did I got a lot of Reaper minis, Reaper 5 or whatever it is, Bones 5. Got those coming. I've got at least two or 3 Kickstarters, I think, that are still pending, still coming. So, because I did Bones and I did Reaper, or Bones, and I did Frosthaven. I forgot what the other one was. It's another game with minis, surprisingly enough. I only buy games with minis now, even just board games, because my friends don't usually buy games like that, so I do. That's just the way I do it. And I have a Mulan I want to paint from Kingdom Hearts. I'm not a big fan of the Kingdom Hearts talisman, but it's got some cool Disney characters in it, so I like to paint them. Yep. But probably won't play that game again anytime soon, so they'll be just for show. They'll be put in my display of show. Anyway, I'm just jabbering now. I'm trying to stretch this to 2 hours. Just so that I could say I streamed for 2 hours. I didn't paint for 2 hours. I painted for 40 minutes. It's pretty sad. I'm just so hard of focusing. I call it good. You have a good one. If you do check this out, subscribe, and maybe I'll try to get into a habit of more consistent painting, and then maybe you can join me and